everyone, it's Miss Spencer. Today we're going to be doing division word problems. The objective for today is that students will be able to divide whole numbers within word problems using the quotient strategy. Let's start with some vocabulary. Here we have 52 divided by 4. The first number is our dividend. This is the total number of objects that we have that will be distributed evenly. The second number is our divisor. This is the total number of groups that we'll be distributing into. Our answer to a division problem is always known as the quotient. Let's start with our first problem. Duncan's parents get him a big bag of Takis. He counts and finds that there are 294 Takis in the bag. If Duncan decides that he will eat 24 Takis each day, how many days can Duncan have Takis as his snack? So what I'm thinking is that Duncan is splitting up the total amount of Takis so that he has the same amount each day. Splitting up a total into equal groups is division, so I know that we'll be dividing for this problem. Here, he's having 294 Takis, so the dividend is 294. This is the total amount that we'll be splitting up. I see that he's eating 24 Takis each day, so the divisor is 24. We want to figure out how many days Duncan can have Takis as a snack. 294 divided by 24. So here, we're going to start by creating our outline. We're going to put our dividend inside the outline and our divisor on the outside. I'm going to start by looking in the hundreds place. We have two hundreds blocks. We can't split up two hundreds blocks between 24 groups, so we're going to be looking at tens. We have 29 tens in our number. That means we have 29 tens rectangles. We can split up 29 tens rectangles into 24 groups. Let's start by listing our multiples of 24. 24 times 1 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. Ooh, 48 is too big. We only need 29 tens. So we're going to be using 24 times 1. But we're not just trying to find 29 ones. We're trying to find 29 tens. So we're not multiplying 24 times 1, 1. We're multiplying 24 times 1, 10. So we're going to be putting a 10 to the right. 24 times 10 is 240. Now we can subtract, and we see we have 54 Takis left over. Let's look at the tens. We have 5 tens left. 5 tens rectangles can't be split into 24 groups. So we're going to look at the total number of ones that we have. We have 54 ones. Well, we can split 54 ones into 24 groups. Let's continue writing our multiples of 24 to see how close we can get to 54 without going over. We see that 24 times 2 is 48, and 24 times 3 is 72. Ooh, 72 is too big. We only need 54. So we're going to use 24 times 2. 24 times 2 is 48, which is closest to 54 without going over. So in our right column, we're going to be putting a 2. 24 times 2 is 48. Now we can subtract and see that we have 6 left over, 6 Takis. So remember, we want 24 Takis each day, but we only have 6 Takis left over. So that's not enough snack for a whole nother day. 6, which is here, is less than the 24, which is our divisor, which means we're done dividing, and this is going to be our remainder. We can go ahead and add the numbers to the right. 10 plus 2 is 12. So we have 12 remainder 6. Well, we actually need to answer the question, how many days can Duncan have Takis as a snack? The 12 represents the total number of days that Duncan can eat the Takis, and the 6 represents the leftover amount of Takis. So Duncan can have Takis as a snack for 12 days, and we'll have 6 Takis left over on the 12th day. If he chooses to eat that as part of his snack on the 13th day, that's up to him. Now we're going to be doing the next word problem. Emmett is baking cookies for his friends. He has 512 chocolate chips. If he wants each cookie to have 14 chocolate chips, how many, chocolate chips will Emmett have left over? So let's think. Emmett is splitting up the total amount of chocolate chips so that each cookie has the same number of chocolate chips. He's splitting these up evenly. So splitting up a total into equal groups is division. We're going to be dividing. Here, we see that he has a total of 512 chocolate chips that he's going to be splitting up. So our dividend is 512. He's putting 14 chocolate chips on each cookie, So our divisor is 14. We want to figure out how many chocolate chips Emmett is going to have left over after he makes as many cookies as he can. So we have 512 divided by 14. Let's start by creating our outline. Our dividend is going to go in the middle, and our divisor is going to go on the outside. We're going to start by looking at the 5 in the tens place. In the hundreds place. We have 500s. Ooh, we can't split 500s blocks into 14 groups. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the tens. In our total number, we have 51 tens rectangles. Well, we can split 51 tens rectangles into 14 groups. So we're going to start by listing our multiples of 14. 14 times 1 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28. 14 times 3 is 42. And 14 times 4 is 56. Ooh, 56 is just a little too much. So we're going to be focusing on 14 times 3. But remember, we're not looking to figure out what multiple is closest to 51 ones. We're trying to figure out which multiple of 14 is closest to 51 tens. So we're not multiplying 14 times 3 ones. We're multiplying 14 times 3 tens, which is 30. 14 times 30 is 420. Let's subtract to see how many chocolate chips we have left over. We have 92 chocolate chips left over if he were to make 30 cookies. So we know we can make some more cookies. Here we see that there's a 9 in the tens place. That means there's 9 tens rectangles. Well, that's not enough to split into 14 groups. So let's look at the ones. We have 92 ones in our entire number. So we're going to continue writing our multiples of 14 to get close to 92 without going over. 14 times 5 is 70, 14 times 6 is 84, and 14 times 7 is 98. Ooh, 98 is too big. So we're going to be focusing on 14 times 6, which is 84. This gets us closest to 92 without going over. So we're going to put a 6 in the right column, and we have 14 times 6, which we already know is 84. We're going to write that under 92. When we subtract, we have 8. That means we have 8 chocolate chips left over. Ooh, but Emmett wants to put 14 chocolate chips on each cookie. We only have 8 chocolate chips left over. That means there's not enough to make another cookie. Remember, when the number down here is less than our divisor, we're done dividing, and this is our remainder. So now we can add up all the numbers in the right column to see how many cookies Emmett has made. 30 plus 6 is 36, and don't forget your remainder 8. But now we actually have to answer the question, how many chocolate chips will Emmett have left over? Well, the 36 represents cookies. So if Emmett makes 36 cookies with 14 chocolate chips on each cookie, that means that there's going to be 8 chocolate chips left over. So with 512 chocolate chips, Emmett can make 36 cookies and he will have 8 chocolate chips left over. All right, let's do one more word problem. PHA wants to take all the students in the school on a field trip. There are 2,840 students at the school, and 25 will also attend. Each bus can hold 26 people. How many buses does the school need in order to take everyone on the field trip? All right, so let's think. Here, we're evenly splitting up the people onto the buses. So we know that we're going to be dividing. But we can see that there's 2,840 students and 25 adults. So we need to add these amount of people together to figure out the total number of people that are going on this field trip. 2,840 plus the 25 adults equals 2,865. That's the total number of people that are going on this field trip that we're going to be splitting up onto buses. So our dividend, or the first number in our division problem, is 2,865. Each bus can hold 26 people, so our divisor is 26. Our equation is going to be 2,865 divided by 26. Let's get started. Here we have our outline. We're going to put our dividend in the middle of our outline, and we're going to put 26, which is our divisor, on the outside of our outline. Here, we're going to start by looking at the 2 in the thousands place. 2,000 blocks is not going to be split up into 26 groups or 26 buses. So we need to be looking at hundreds. We have 2,800 hundreds blocks. Well, 2,800 hundreds can be split into 26 groups. Let's start by listing our multiples of 26 to see how close we can get to 28 without going over. 26 times 1 is 26. 26 times 2 is 52. Ooh, 52 is too big. So we're going to be using 26 times 1 to get to 26. But remember, we're trying to get close to 2,800s. So we're not going to be multiplying 26 times 1. We're going to be multiplying 26 times 100. So we're going to put 100 on the right. 26 times 100 is 2,600. Now let's subtract. Here, if we had 100 buses with 26 people on each, that means we could put 2,600 people on the bus and have 265 people left over. Well, we need to keep dividing so that we can figure out the total number of buses we need. Here we have two hundreds. We can't evenly split two hundreds blocks into 26 groups. So we're going to look at the tens. Here we have 26 tens. Oh, we can split 26 tens blocks into 26 groups. Here we can always look at our multiples we've already created and see that 26 times 1 equals 26, which is exactly what we're looking for. But remember, we're not looking for 26 ones, we're looking for 26 tens. So 26 times 10 equals 260. So now, if we added 10 more buses, we'd be able to fit another 260 people on the bus. Ooh, we still have 5 people left over. Well, 5 is less than 26. So we're going to be done dividing for right now, but we're going to look at that remainder later. We're going to go ahead and add 100 plus 10 and get 110, remainder 5. Well, 110 represents the total number of buses. So, in order to get everyone on a bus, we'd have 110 buses, but 5 students would not be on a bus. We don't want to make and no one we don't want to make someone not be able to go on the field trip. So, what we're going to do is we need an extra bus to fit those 5 extra people there. If the school had 110 buses, 5 people could not fit. So the school needs to get 111 buses in order to get everyone on the field trip.